Hey everyone, my name is Daniel, and in this video, we'll take a look at where are these Agent Builder upload files saved. And when I say Agent Builder, just to be clear, when you go to your Microsoft 365 Copilot, you select Create an Agent. For that specific agent, when you opt in for the upload file, where exactly do those files get saved? Because there's a lot of misunderstanding and confusion behind this, and that can cause further problems as far as the permissions and the ownership. So it's very important, not just for the agent makers and the administrators, but also for the managers, directors, and executives who are responsible for this application. So stick around, this is very important. But first, here's my intro video. So to get started, I'm going to show you one of my agents where I've already gone ahead and uploaded some files. And over there, I'll also clear some misunderstandings, and I need to get you all familiar with the concept called containers. So let's get started. Here, I have an agent called Because I Said So. And when I click on it, as I scroll down, under this knowledge sections, below this upload files, I've gone ahead and uploaded 3 PDF files. And to upload this, one of the places I have to use is this option called Upload from Device. Now, while I'm here, I have to talk about this section because that icon looks so familiar. It looks very similar to OneDrive, but it actually isn't. And let me prove that to you. When I click over here, you do not see the option to go ahead and select your OneDrive. Even when I click on more places on this site, it doesn't show me OneDrive. These are all SharePoint sites. So there's that one big misunderstanding that you have the option to select your OneDrive files for the agent builder, and that's not the case. You can only select your SharePoint files, and to walk you through this, I did a detailed video whose link is there in the description below. Go take a look at that. In this video, we are going to talk about this upload section. So when you click on this upload, it gives you the option to go ahead and select any of your files. So for the sake of this example, if I just go ahead and select, say, this PowerPoint, and I just put it over here, it will start the option to upload it. And if I go and click over here, this is where the document got uploaded. Now check this out. If I go and hover on it, you see that link on the bottom. It starts off with my SharePoint, like my domain name .sharepoint.com. And then after that, it's got content storage. If you're familiar with this, you immediately know that this is containers. This is part of the SharePoint embedded overview. And so this is why I said I need to get you all familiar with the concept of SharePoint containers. So let's do that, all right? As a SharePoint admin, when you come to your admin center, you will see something called containers. And there are active containers and deleted containers. So when I select the active containers, you see that there are different container types available. There is something for Microsoft Designer, there is something for Microsoft Loop, and then there is also this declarative agent. And if you're interested in learning more about these containers, you basically click on this link and it brings you over here. This is the concept of overview of SharePoint embedded. And right over here, it also goes and introduces you to the file storage containers. The important thing about this is that yes, it is a SharePoint entity in the backend, but you do not have direct access to it. So therefore, this is not like your OneDrive, because OneDrive is a type of a SharePoint. However, you have full access to go over there. You can go take a look at the settings and all that. Your file container is not like that. The only way you can access it is directly by the API and using all of these tools. That's the only way you can access it. So it's very different how these file containers work in this SharePoint embedded feature. Make sense? All right, let's start using it and you'll actually understand that. So let's go back to our containers over here, and you can see that amongst the designer and amongst the loop, you also have declarative agents. And the announcement of declarative agents to be used was actually made on Message Center. So when I go to the Message Center, and if you look up this one, MC1058260, you will actually find this message in your Message Center. And it gives you this announcement of how you can go ahead and upload the files as knowledge sources to your agent for the Copilot Studio. But here's the very important thing that you should be aware of. So as I scroll down over here, under the how this will affect your organization, it says, as part of this rollout, we will pre-provision a limited set of SharePoint extension containers in your tenant. And that's exactly what's happened to my tenant, and I'm guaranteeing you it's happening to your tenant as well. When you started to create these agents and you upload a document, like the example that I showed you, you went and uploaded this document, you started to see these declarative agents show up in your containers. However, there's a little bit of confusion over here because what happens is all of them might actually have older dates. So in my tenant, when I'm uploading these documents to my agents, I'm seeing all these dates of May 1st of 2025. In some other tenants, I've actually seen like end of April. Other tenants, you might see middle of May. So take a look at your own tenant and you'll actually see that most, if not all of them, have this exact same date. So why is that case? Because say if today is August 1st and I went and uploaded a document, I'm expecting the created on as August 1st. But this is happening because of what was said on the message center, that there were some pre-provisioned containers already made. And now you know exactly when those containers were pre-provisioned, because when you start using them, you will see that date. So for me, I know exactly that I had a bunch of these pre-provisioned in my tenant on May 1st. So the next question you will have is exactly how many of them were pre-provisioned? And to do that, we got to use PowerShell scripts. So the PowerShell commands that we will be using are of type get SPO container, and these come along with your SharePoint PowerShell module. In addition to get SPO container, there is also the get SPO container type and also get SPO container type configuration. These are the three big ones. So I've taken this link also and I've gone ahead and put that in the description below. But I want to do some examples for you to get familiar with it. And so for that, I come over here into my Windows PowerShell IAC, so I can actually do this all from the administration standpoint. And then the first thing I'm going to do is actually sign in to my SharePoint online service. That's why it's called as a Connect SPO service. This is the URL of my tenant, so you need to know what yours is. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to highlight the whole thing and I'm going to run just this one, all right? I just want to run that step. It's also an F8. So when I click on it, the pop-up window comes in and this is where I go ahead and authenticate in. So when I click on it, the authentication goes through. Since I already had signed in on the browser type, I am not asked to authenticate in. In your case, things might be a little different. Put in the username, password, MFA, and just get through all of that. But here you go. I have successfully now connected to my SharePoint online service. So the next thing I want to do is use the get SPO container dash, and then there is something called as owning application ID. What that literally means is that there's so many different versions of this container. So when you come over here, you see there's one for designer, there's one for loop, there's also one for declarative agents. So which exactly do you want? Like which one is it? It's one of them, and that's what you do is you basically go ahead and identify it. So this ID that you see, that is actually the hard-coded one of declarative agents. So if you take this ID and run that in your tenant, in fact, you take this entire PowerShell line and you run that in your tenant, it will go and give you all the declarative agents in your tenant. And here's the wow side of it, all right? I'm going to go and highlight the whole thing. I'm going to go and run it. It went ahead and ran all of this. So like you see that there is a little bit of a scrolling. So right over here, okay, I'm scrolling up. I just went ahead and ran that command. And I am seeing a whole bunch of them. Like I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just a whole bunch of them, more than 5. But wait a sec, why are there more than 5 over here? Because when I go to my tenant, I go to SharePoint Admin Center, I am seeing only 3 over here, 3 declarative agents. And you and I, with our eyes, we know this is more than just 3. This is where that message on the message center starts to make sense. So when we come back over here, it says that as part of this rollout, we will pre-provision a limited set of SPE containers. So when I first ran this PowerShell script and when I came over here, I counted, I had 21 of these pre-provisioned containers automatically made. In some other tenants, I have seen other numbers. I have seen 30 of them pre-provisioned. Others were 50 of them pre-provisioned. So when you run this PowerShell line in your tenant, you will actually see a whole bunch of these, and then you will have a good idea how many of them were pre-provisioned. And you can also make a good guesstimate which one of these are already created but hidden in the backend, because they will say active, but the storage used will be absolutely 0 gig. The max in this case, by the way, is 25 gig. So on the flip side, I want to see which of these containers have already been used, because I already have 3 provision. One of these have got to be used for those containers, right? And there's an easy way to find that out. If I scroll down, actually it's mostly all the way to the bottom, you see this one over here, it says 0.01 GB, gigabytes. So I know for a fact that that one has been used. And there's an easy way for me to look over here and directly go back to my SharePoint site, because it is already giving me the container name. You see this name over here, published agent underscore the 372DEF. If I go back to my SharePoint admin center right over here, one of them, see right over there, see that published agent 3725DEF7? That's the one. That's the one which is directly being used right over here. So this is a good way to correlate from that PowerShell script directly what you see in your SharePoint admin site. There is also one really interesting thing. Let me go back over here to the PowerShell script. In your PowerShell script, it's also giving you container ID. There you go. You see that container ID? However, when you come to the admin center, you don't see that over here. You see container name? I'm not seeing container ID. I see container URL. Under memberships, I don't see that. Under settings, I definitely don't see that. However, it is hidden. And to find that, if I just go and uncheck this, I do an export, it is generating the CSV file. It has gone ahead and downloaded it. When I come over here, that's the file. Let me just right click that and open that up in Excel. It's opening it up. See, here is where you see that hidden container ID, the same thing that I saw in the PowerShell script. So if I go and highlight this entire thing over here, okay, did I highlight, doing a Control C, come back to my Excel spreadsheet, select this one, do a Control F, Control V, hit enter, voila, that's the one that we find over here. So it's interesting to see that this container ID is actually being displayed over here somewhere. It's just hidden. If you want to find it, export it over here, see that CSV file, and I'm guaranteeing you will find it over here. So this was just the overview of how you can use that PowerShell script to actually find all the containers. What I want to show though is how you go and see these new containers come up over here. And for that, let's build a new agent and actually upload a document. So I'm going to go back into my Microsoft 365 Copilot, right over here under My Agents. I'll go ahead and create a new agent. All right, I'm going to select that. I'll go straight to my configuring, and I'm going to call that as my new declarative agent. I've already got some text over here, so I'm going to go grab that. This is my description for the instructions. Let me go and grab this one as well. That way I don't have to type the whole thing up and have too many typos. All right, so I got that piece. For the knowledge, I'm going to select this upload piece, and I'm going to just go and grab some of these documents. I'll do 1, I'll do 2, I'll do 3, and I'm going and selecting open. Right now it is going to go ahead and start uploading it. It is actually going ahead and now making one of those containers visible, because remember, they are already there for us. So once this thing gets saved up, if I hover over them, on the bottom left, you will see this new URL. So what I'm going to do is now just go and click on create. I'll finish the creating. It's finishing. It's going ahead and creating our agent. Okay, we are done saving successfully. I'm going to leave this open over here, and let's come back to our SharePoint site. Check this out, okay? These were the 3 that you and I just saw. But if I go and refresh it, all right, I'm just going to go and refresh it. Refreshing is going on. And voila, we see the 4th one that is created. But even the 4th one has that exact same created on date, which is May 1st. So again, it's just proof of what I showed you, that there are these pre-built containers already in the back end. And then anytime you go and create that new agent, it will actually go and display that. It was hidden, but now it goes ahead and displays it. And now you've got one of those containers tied to that agent that you went and created. So this pre-created containers is pretty awesome purely from a time-saving standpoint, because you don't spend too much additional time spinning up a new container. It's already there available in the back end. So now that I've shown you how the containers get created, the next valid question is, how are the permissions handled for this container? Because for any of these containers, when I go and click on it, when I go to memberships, it's showing me these 4 different types of memberships, but they all come out as 0. And you and I know that for sure they at least have to have owners. It could be that I don't have access to this agent and therefore I don't have access to handle these memberships. That is true. But also keep in mind, I am signing in as a global admin. So even at a global admin level, I do not have any control over this. What's important is that you really cannot manage these permissions over here on the SharePoint admin side at the container level. All of that can only be handled in two places. One is directly on the agent side right over here at the sharing place, and the other place is on the Microsoft Copilot Admin Center. So when we come back over here and I go into the Copilot and I go and take a look at my agents and connectors, right over there in the inventory side, on this type, if I filter it down to shared, you will see all your agents, and voila, that's the one that we just created. If I select it over here, this is the place where I can go ahead and block and delete. And this will affect the container in the back end. And the other place is directly at the container level. The next thing is direct access to this file. Can I go ahead and get that? And the answer to that is yes. If I come over here, if I just right click and copy the link address, it is copied. I open up another tab, I go ahead and paste it. It will directly take me to that file. It's not like it's going ahead and opening my Teams and then showing me something over there or the browser. No, it directly takes me to that file. So that's one way that you can go and access it if you already have access to this agent. And I'll prove that to you. So when I come back over here, this agent, I have not shared that with anyone. This is the one that you and I just created. It's not shared with anyone. So that link, right, this link that I have, if I go and open up in another browser, right, this is a new user altogether. User has access to Microsoft 365 Copilot, has the ability to work with agents. If I open up a new tab and if I go and paste that exact same link to that PowerPoint file that I showed you, and if I hit enter, this is all it does. It's saying, hey, go ahead and sign in. And if I do attempt to even sign in, all right, it says you don't have access. Go ahead and request the access. So the permissions are handled well, even at the container level. So it's just fair to see that if I go back now to that container, all right, basically go back to that agent, sorry, not the container, the agent right over here, I'm going to go ahead and share that with Elijah right over here. I'll go select that, share with specific users. I go and do a search for Elijah, select that, save. It is going ahead and sharing. Sharing is done. Let me just go click on close. Also go ahead and update it just to make sure that agent is all up to date and fresh. Updating is confirmed. If I just click on that share over here, I can confirm that Elijah it is. So as a test now, let me go and grab this link all over again. I'll select it, do a Control C, come back in, signed in as Elijah, open up another tab, paste it in, hit enter. Now I can go ahead and see that file. This is me as a user seeing that file which is stored in the container. But here's the thought that's in my mind. If I go back now again to that container right over here, right, I'm going to go ahead and refresh it. Refresh is complete. It's the first one over here. When I go and take a look at the memberships, see, I still don't see it over here. So this is by design. Even me as a global admin, I absolutely do not see it over here. All the permissions are handled directly at the agent level. So the final part of this permission is actually the deletion of it. So there's two places you can do that. You yourself have full access to go ahead and delete your whole agent. So if I go and click on dismiss over here, come back in, this agent that we created, if I click on this ellipsis, I see the option to go and delete. So if I select delete over here, and I'm going to go ahead and delete the whole thing, it is going ahead and deleting the agent over here. Takes a while, it'll go ahead and get finished over here. Agent is gone from this side. I come on this side over here. If I just go ahead and do a refresh, this is on the Copilot side, agents and connectors. I do a refresh. The agent has disappeared over here. But if I also go to my container, right, this was the one, the first one. Remember, it starts with 499F. If I go and refresh it, refreshing is complete. We immediately notice that it's down to 3. There were 4 before. And the one, that 4991, it is gone. So deleting the agent goes ahead and deletes the container in the backend as well. That's the biggest takeaway that you have, is your declarative agent container is handled at the agent level. You really can't do anything over here on the admin side. So I already know what a few of you are already doing right now. You fired up that PowerShell ISC and you are running these commands right now to see all those hidden containers in your tenant. Do that. It truly is an eye-opener to see how many you have already available, so that the next time you have one of these agents built in Agent Builder and you are uploading the documents, there is no delay for this container to be spun up. It's already there, except it'll now become visible for you to see it on the admin center. Hopefully this video has been useful to you. Now you have a much better understanding of how this agent builder works, especially for its knowledge side. And as always, keep using Copilot Studio. Hey, if you have a few seconds, can you click on that like button and even consider subscribing it? Because it's just 2 easy clicks for you, but boy, it makes a big difference for me. Also, if you don't mind, can you put in a comment below? Because that really boosts this video up to reach a higher audience. And once again, thank you for watching this video.